Welcome. I'm pretty excited about all the stuff I'll be doing in the future, but the one thing that I'm really excited about is making today's family talk, which is basically, all the uncomfortable conversations that we haven't had. And this is, a lot of the podcasts and the show is truly about life in general, because I've had a lot of experiences. And, one thing that I've learned in life is the things that you don't say in good and having good conversations, it doesn't end up well. We have a lot of people with addictions and anger and all these problems because they're relating back and forth, to their childhood patterns of unresolved conflicts that they have never resolved. And believe me, I'm not saying I'm perfect at all by any means. I've made a ton of mistakes. But the thing is, I've never experienced anyone to actually have any of those conversations with me when I was younger. They would reprimand you or discipline you or tell you what you're doing wrong or what you need to do to fix the problem. But until you actually see the problem for what it is, and I'm realizing now in life, it's the conversations you never had, or you want to have, with your own family. And the show and the podcast itself is going to be basically those conversations and what they are. And I think, I'm not exactly sure because I'm still kind of undecided and whatnot. There may actually be real life conversations between me and my kids or people that have loved me or I've raised, to have those conversations, because the biggest thing in life is not what you tell people to do. It's actually show the way, and what that is. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of conversations on also parental alienation, which I think is a very crucial, very important thing in life. And I will show and explain things that will have you observe things in a different way of how in your whole life you've looked at things. A lot of things we follow the crowd, the news or politicians and whatnot, or the courts and lawyers will tell you. But the truth of the matter is, there's always something in your heart that says, this is not right. It's not making right. And some of the show and some of the podcasts is on my real life experiences on that issue. And I think the most important thing is there's a ton of psychology, there's a ton of child development podcasts and videos and segments and such and shows on that. But the truth of the matter is, we as people want to see life experiences or examples. And some of those examples, from my experience, and this is what my passion and thing is about, is in the perspective of the child, not the adults. We can sit around all day long and talk about what we thought was best in the child, including the courts will say what's in their best interest, but the court's best interest is the court's best interest to keep making money. That's it. There's nothing else involved. So if you're stuck on that, you're going to have a lot of problems. So my thing is having that discussion or to the child themselves. And this is not, when I first mentioned this the first time, people are like, if people have, restraining orders, they're going to violate. No, they're not going to violate any restraining orders, because we're making scenarios of how the child will perceive it. So, when I was younger as a parent, if I saw a video or show or talks and conversations that showed how I was feeling and how I can get out of it, especially the child, that would be more valuable and more something much more better resource to the child that's stuck in that. In my situation, that is the situation right now. A lot of what my ex has done, and everybody knows, obviously, Shane and Kelsey are my kids, and the thing is, until it gets out, like right now, a lot of the court stuff, what they do is they silence what happened. What happens. So people always assume there's a reason why, that child, he just doesn't want to see his dad, let's say. Let's take me out of this for a second, but this is a real life scenario. What's going on is you never hear the other side of what's going on, and that's the problem. Like me, my son Shane has been alienated from me for almost 5 years for really absolutely no reason other than lawyers funding themselves and finding reasons to keep things going, because they have to find a reason to charge somebody $300 an hour, and then politics is involved. Since we're in a female state, it just keeps going on and on and on. But the truth of the matter is, I love my son. Of course, I love Shane, and if he's watching this, the truth is, there's nobody's fault. There's no good parent, bad parent. There's no such thing as that. And if anybody gets anything out of this podcast or these shows, and that's the thing, there's no good parent, bad parent. It's parenting and behavior and making mistakes and how to fix them, how to resolve them. Well, my son, of course, he loves me, and getting back to that, if he's watching this, the truth of the matter is, there's a bad behavior that's happening. That's the problem. It's not so much there's a bad mom, mom bashing and dad bashing, because we can sit here all day and talk about my mistakes, and that's what the courts love to do. He's not doing well. He's not doing good to want back his son, but he shouldn't have been fighting for his son in the first place. That's the problem. But the thing is, there's no reason for finding a solution to the problem to move forward. Like right now, there's a child involved. That's the behavior. That's the problem. So when you're being taught for over 10 years, let's say, and my son just turned 16. I've been able to talk to him in a good conversation, and that's the problem. So you're going to go into become an adult to learn to ignore your parent because your mom doesn't like you. That's the behavior you're going to learn. So what's going to come out of that? Nothing good, ever. Because I've learned out of my life, especially the last 3 years, and I've lost both my parents, and I've learned that you're going to look back someday, Shane, and say, darn, I wish I would have just fought against that. And because obviously my father loves me, wants to be part of my life, and all these stories and hate I'm being taught is not what something I wanted to do. And the truth of the matter is, for that scenario, for court-wise, mom has fought tooth and nail to find every single way to make sure he doesn't resolve the problem. In other words, even the last court stuff was basically about resolving problems and moving forward and counseling to help to make things better. And mom fought against that. That's all that really happened. Mom doesn't want my son to go to counseling and make it better. Because if it makes it better, maybe in her mind, it'll make it worse for her. But the truth of the matter is, it will not. Children love both parents unconditionally, regardless. Everything is set up to fail for the child. The best interest of Shane right now is to just call me and get things back on track, and all the time that's been lost can be replaced right now. It can be replaced absolutely at a drop of a hat right now. So a lot of this, for years I've been wanting to make a video on explaining that, and that to me is important to explain. And maybe I'll make another further video to explain in further detail of what's going on. But the bottom line is, parental alienation is a serious problem. And I think some of the videos are going to be on how parents, especially mothers, regardless of, this is a controversial thing to say, but moms set children up. Children will want more nurture from mom naturally, biologically. So sometimes parents use that as a scapegoat to, you don't want to go see your dad this weekend, you don't feel well. Remember, we had that thing, that's going on. And that's how it all starts, no, I guess I don't want to go see, my dad or whatever. And to sum it up with my case, and generally, basically, the kids were never, able to really have sleepovers and come over and visit and have parenting time with me to begin with. And this is all caused by a lawyer that just wanted to win and end the divorce and, you know, give mom all the rights, as in she's the mom and that she has the final say, which is politically correct thing to do, but psychologically for a child, it's not correct. So, you know, this whole time basically it's been going on that since there was no sleepovers, and then this is in the same exact house that the kids were brought up in. They were brought up here. You know, Shane was born here. But when it's been put in their child's mind consistently over and over again, you can't. You know, they're not ready to sleep over. They're not ready to come over. What child would not ever be ready to spend time with their dad? If Shane was taught that, he would be in a much more healthy state of mind right now than, you know, just ignoring dad. And the truth of the matter is, any child ignores their parent because that's what they're taught. They're coached. They're, you know, and there's some, you know, like I said, I'm going to go into further detail. It's how you talk to your child. You know, hey, what did you do when you went to visit your dad? What did you do? You know, back in the times for Shane and Kelsey, it was always bad. You know, what did you do? You know, dads, and, you know, drilled and the time is limited to begin with. So I'm thinking, I'm not going to ever walk away from my kids. That's never going to happen. I mean, it's going to get worse for the other parent because I'm generally looking for a friendship. I want us and I've gone to the schools, I've made contact with the teachers, and just to let you guys know, my ex was not happy about the contact with the teachers. There's a lot of stories that were made up that happened, such, you know, switching schools and all that, but the truth of the matter is, all of it comes down to, and this is, you know, it's not debatable, this is the truth, is none of this should have happened in the first place. He's, you know, and a lot of this happened because of the schools. Mom doesn't want me in his life, and that's what they're taught. So my solution is love. You should be able to love both parents unconditionally, without any strings attached, unconditionally, and I'm willing to do that. So how I look at things with my ex, I'm not looking to bash her, because the truth of the matter is, I'm looking to make peace. And then the courts and mom will find every possible way that, you know, I'm looking to get back with her. No, I'm not. I'm married. I have another kid. I mean, there's no, you know, I mean, Shane, again, if you're watching this, none of those stories are true. None of these stories that you've been hearing is true. If anything, I've been paying child support, maybe not always on time, like any perfect you know, parent, because I've gone through bad times financially. But the truth of the matter is, even financially, if I was able to just hand you money and help mom, it would be way more better. It would be way easier to help the other parent, help each other financially as a team. Then the children would see that we're helping each other as a team. It's much more productive and healthy for Shane or any child. And the reason I'm doing this video in particular is because I know my ex is waiting for the bashing, but this is the bashing. The bashing is, peace is where it's at. You know, parents need to come together. Shane is losing out on having a good father, and rather than dismissing me in life, hating, ignoring, stonewalling a parent is abuse. You know, so I don't want my children to learn to basically be a bully. And I mean, because that's where mom is. That's and the courts are bullies. They just manipulate words. They find ways to unravel. You know, look at him. look what he's doing. He's talking bad about me. And the truth is, a lot of times, no, yeah, I obviously you've done that because you're upset. And in the real world, when you hurt somebody through their kids, that can't be a good. And the courts uses that too, by the way, just to let you know, they love that. And the truth is, if you're hurting a child or the other parent through the child, they're gonna be hurt and angry. So when the courts and the moms, how dare you tell the other parent there's something wrong with them when they're emotionally being hurt? That's probably the worst way to terrorize any person. And that's what the courts does. They manipulate truth and love and brainwashing in the worst possible way. Shane, I love you, and Kelsey. And you need to snap out of this. You need to come out. You need to open your eyes, and in the future maybe you'll see more of the truth of you need both parents. And if mom doesn't want to get along with me, that's her choice in life, not mine. It's not my choice. And you have a brother, a 6-year-old brother that's only seen him a couple times in his first year of his life. I mean, that's to turn your back on your own. And Kelsey used to love Brady and hug him and kiss him. That's very, very disturbing. And especially if a child's going into, I hear, Kelsey's going into working with children. That's a problem. You're going to have some demons within your heart that's going to come out someday, and someone's going to see that, and say, well, wait a minute, you're working with children, you love people, but do you really love people or children when you turn your back on your own brother that you said you loved and wanted to spend time with? One more thing before I end this video in particular is basically Kelsey and Shane spent the night over on Christmas 2016 or 17. We had a great time. The mom wanted to end it by starting some drama with her new boyfriend by saying that, I was saying this and that. It was a tit for tat kind of thing, just to set me up as a bad parent. And no, the kids don't want to sleep over. But they chose to spend Christmas with me. And they went against the mom. The mom took off, in a heat, because she was upset that the children genuinely wanted to spend a Christmas with their dad. But now the price they paid because they did stay over and basically had a good time, and it was awesome. Mom basically ended parenting time with me. I mean, that's the bottom line of what happened. So even Shane and Kelsey, we can go all day long looking at these stories, but the truth of the matter is, the bottom line is, mom didn't like that. So she wanted to make sure that things ended bad. But the truth of the matter is, that's not her. That's hurting the children. So it has to come to an end. You know what? I'd like to talk more, but that was just a basic wrap up of my first video of explaining of what's going on and what's going to be coming up, and the reason of why I'm making these videos to begin with. Not to bash anyone, it's to help, and hope my ex Kelly will just wake up and stop hating and finding love. You can love people without being intimate or without being together with them. I mean, that's what life is all about. And I wish them well, that they snap out of it. So hey, this is just the beginning, and God bless everybody.